According to various studies, lack of commitment, infidelity, and lack of communication is most reasons for divorce in our society. And my question is this: when you know you're not ready to commit to one another, why get into relationship, marriage to be precise? Good to have you today on Real Talk is a relationship program. My name is Bidi Nana. Thanks for having you join us here today. Let's do it like we always do it. But let's go for a break and we'll be right back. Sit tight, a lot to talk and learn here today. We'll be right back. Welcome back to just joining us. This is Real Talk. And to this here today, I'm not alone. I have my colleague all the way from Milan, Massive Mac in the building. Chief Massive Mac, good to have you here today.
Good to have you. It's a late night show, and when it's late night, good things come out.
Exactly.
Most good things come out in the night. So good,
Yeah.
resourceful discussion, very very useful tips will be brought out as we roll on Real Talk. Thank you, BD. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of those good things that will be coming out from this show here today is how the relationship will be suggesting to our marriages. Because if you agree with me, our marriage institutions is always in trouble. Yes,
Yes.
it's always in trouble. And we can't just keep quiet or fold our hands and watch our marriage institutions crumble, because when they crumble, the society crumbles. Now, Massive Mike, last week we were able to establish the facts by Sir George, all the way from Toronto, an authority in relationship and Laurie. That's the thing is this: most of why divorce is even more in this society now, this part of the world, not is because our men are actually comfortable with certain way of doing things. Those they don't want to change. So, but today
Mhm.
we want to look at the effect of this divorce in our children, because he said when two lion or two elephant fight, the grass suffers. So in this marriage institution today, when there is divorce, the man will move away happy, getting his life, living his life. The woman will move away happy, living her life, bubbling. But the children are left in between, not to go front, not to go back. Most times they suffer it, and the effect of that suffering on children tells on our society. Now, Massive Mike, can you tell us one of the ways the children suffer divorce in our society?
Oh, thank you very much. Good topic, BD, and the viewers listening. This is Real Talk, late night show where we give very good dialogue, discussion on issues that affect us. BD, yes, when there is divorce, one set of people that suffer the most, most times the offspring, children from that marriage, And when you look at it very well, sometimes this the man and the woman, the father and the mother don't really consider them when they are making that rash decision of divorcing. Also, we've had situations where some people choose to stay in a very not too good marriage, abusive marriage because of children. So it's a two-way thing. One is staying because of the children. You don't want the children to feel bad. You don't want them to have all the problems associated with divorce. The other one is divorcing and not caring about how the children react, how what they feel. So these are real serious, crucial factors to be looked into. Um, we've had situations where little children suffer emotional problems because papa and mama are not together again. You know, it gets so serious that I personally have a story, an experience of a young child that committed suicide because the parents were not together. They decided to divorce, and he found himself caught up in between. And he was the only child. Committed suicide. I'm telling you for a fact. This happened in 2020. So the children suffers the most. You just talked about two elephants fighting and the grass suffers. So the children suffers the most. If there has been offspring, children in that marriages, and most times when they are still young children, when they are still little babies, and this is happening, it affects them emotionally. It affects them psychologically. It affects them in all angles, mental health, their behavior, their school, they begin to some of them even have situations where they don't want to go to school, or they go to school and they're not focused, they're not concentrating on their studies, poor academic performance. Some of them begin to exhibit very risk taking behavior. Some of them will tell you they are into such um, maybe social ill because mama and papa nobody cares about them again. Papa is on his own, mama is on his own. Yes, a lot happens, Didi. A lot has happened because two people decided to take that decision of divorcing, and these little children suffer. But we're also in a time when smart parents are able to understand this whole thing and put it together before it becomes an issue. Do you understand, BD? So
Yeah.
smart parents are some of them arrange like a counseling for the children. They pre-arrange the child's mind for what is about to happen, and they say it in a way that the child will also understand and see with them. So some parents are doing this. Some parents are also, yes, they are doing that. Some parents
But
are also
that is in the developed world. I don't think they do that in Nigeria or in Africa. That's in the
okay.
developed world. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So anyway, some parents are doing that, and it helps somehow, but it can never be. I mean, you're born into a family, you see papa and mama, and the next minute you're not seeing them together again. Obviously, it will rub a negative impact on the child. So, health, mental health issue becomes a problem you know, the children begin to exhibit a little bit of some of those mental issues. And when you ask them why, the excuse will be because my father and my mother decided to part ways. Bad behavior will come in too. Some of them will begin to exhibit very, very poor behavior in school with their colleagues, in class, with their peers, and that might also affect them academically, like I said earlier. If a child was doing well in school, doing excellently well with his studies, um, in some cases, when there is this divorce issue, they go off. They go off academically. They go off in coordinating and putting things the way it has always been. So these are some of the things we now think should be considered when there is divorce. Our parents should ask the questions, look into all angles in this issue, and check out the effects, the after effects of what might happen to the children if they decide to part ways.
So
Thank you.
that brings me to another question for you, Massive Bank. You've just eliminated it very well, how it should be and how it is. Now, I noticed that once there is divorce, the two partners no longer want to see each other. Now, sitting down to discuss or to talk or to even consider these children, like you just said here now, becomes
Mm.
an issue. Why is
That's
this so? Why is this so mostly in our society?
Yes, because you notice these two people now have what you call resentment, strong animosity. That's strong hatred for each other. So they find it hard to sit down and talk. They find it hard to look themselves into their faces and express themselves. At this point, everybody's bitter, everybody's angry. I mean, you're talking of hyper anger this point. So it's very hard. That's why, like you will say, in the Western world, what they do is they bring in a counselor. But for you in that environment where you don't have all of this, you just see this hatred raw between the two couple, the couple. Nobody wants to. When this one goes out, this one is coming in. When this one is coming, this one is going out. They don't want to give room. Nobody is coming down, humbling him or herself to want to face the situation. Everybody at this point is angry and feels they are right. You know.
Yeah.
So pride comes in. Pride is the key. They become
and
so.
and and that's because they are not being considerate, because
That's
if
it.
they are considerate, they will know
That's
that they are not the only people in that relationship. They have
that's
the
it.
children now in this relationship, so they should have considered the children, letting their ego or their pride aside,
That's
and
correct.
find out,
Yes.
remember that, oh, it's not just me, it's not just the man, there is another party, which is the children or the child involved. So we should consider him or her. They are not looking at that direction. Why is this so?
Why is it so? That's it. You just said it because they are not looking at that same direction. Everything has fallen apart. They've allowed it to become that deep. So that's why you see, BD, what we're saying is really important. That's why before it comes to this level where everything collapses, where dialogue is no more, the couple don't want to see each other, hate has come in, there's strong animosity, strong bickering. Now, before it comes to that, couples should that make sure they are talking every day. You see, communication. There was a time you said this in this program, the importance of communication. Communication plays a very,
Yeah,
very vital role in relationship, in marriages, in the family. So once that communication is broken, once there is a gap, there is nobody's talking. You know, believe me, this is when that level of animosity begins to build up, hate begins to come in. And gradually, everything falls apart. So communication
yeah,
is key. Communication is what keeps us when we are wrong, we can still talk because there's that lifeline of communicating. So the major key here now is a major factor is keep communication alive. Keep talking, bad or good.
now,
Express yourself.
and
Right.
another bad thing about this divorce is that when it happens, you see people start shifting blame. It's another thing
Mhm.
that destroys this community, this divorce, marriage, or even affect the children. You see them start shifting blame. None of them sit down and look inward and say, oh, how have I communicated? How have I contributed into this divorce resulting in this marriage? They don't look in that direction. What they do is they keep pushing blame, and it becomes a very big problem
Blame
for that
game.
relationship.
PD blame game. The blame game is a strategy. It's a strategy that works very well for most couples, and it leads to breakdown and divorce. So when there's that blame, everybody doesn't. Nobody wants to accept their error. Everybody feels you are wrong and I'm right. You are wrong and
Yeah,
I'm right, and it keeps on, goes on. So the blame game is a pretty very strong factor, and all of this adds
yeah,
up to those moments where divorce related stress comes in. Children suffer if there are children in that marriage. The family begin to face a lot of risks, a lot of other problems. Things comes in apart from children. Also, let's take note that marriage builds two families. You have the extended family, the in-law, and all this. So when this thing happens, this family system falls, it collapses. You know, you lose all the relationship, the friendship you have with your in-laws from the other side and this other side, and all everything falls, everything collapses, and it affects everybody. It affects
Exactly.
to the extent that sometimes do you know it gets to an extent where sometimes some people want to kill the other person.
Yeah,
Some people, yes,
we
we
get to
have
that bad.
divorce issues where the couple now, one of the couple. I mean, there's one going on here in Europe, right there in UK. There's a couple that is on divorce and they're going to court and all that. And the woman says at night she thinks the man has sent killers to her house. She can sense people walking around and trying to kill her. Really? Eh? So this all
And this
comes.
somebody you were once in love with.
Can you imagine? It fades. That those beautiful moments, those sweet moments, fades suddenly,
Ashes.
and now we're now
Eh,
like worst enemies, the worst of enemies, and
exactly.
imagine trying to want to kill your wife, somebody you married, or try to kill your husband. So men kill their husbands too, and like women kill their
Both
husbands.
parties, men kill,
Yeah.
women kill. It depends on the individual and the kind of heart that individual possesses. Men kill, women kill. You understand?
So so so
Yeah, come on, come.
for children, parental separation is a hard battle. It's a hard thing, and it affects them. It affects them in so many ways. Sometimes it could affect the children in a way that because the man or the woman probably has to leave, where they were living, staying before as a family. Now they have to move apart. They have to go elsewhere. So these little children suffer the consequence of changing school, going to a
Yeah,
new neighborhood, meeting new friends all over again, blah blah blah.
exactly.
And all these things have effect on children. Really, it does.
Yeah, it does. It has a lot of effect in the children, and in return, it goes back to the society. That's why you see some adults when they behave, you keep wondering, what is this? It's as a result of what they went through when they were children. So it
That's
affects people a lot. Now, this is real talk, relationship where we talk everything and we keep it real. And this topic, divorce in our society, this is the last edition. We've had it from one, two, three, and this is the fourth edition. And we'll be wrapping up this topic here today. From after today, another topic will be coming up. And we've been able to establish that in divorce in our society, it comes from both sides. The women caused it, the men caused it. But we've been able to establish some fact that when it comes to Africa, or to Nigeria to be precise, where I'm talking from, that a lot of men don't want things to change because they've gotten comfortable with things being done the way it's been done. This was established by our experts in relationship. Sir George, unfortunately, he's not here today. So, and today we've been able to establish by massive mark all the way from Milan that children suffer a lot in this divorce when it happens. And the problem is that the people involved, the parties, the husband and the wife, when going through this process, they don't consider the children, the third party. They no longer understand that it's not about them, but there are now more people involved. They don't consider them. They just wake up one morning and make a decision, and in return, that decision affects everyone and it goes back to the society, affects even you, me. So, in doing that, Massive Mark, what advice do you think we should give to couple? Now, having said this, you remember in some studies that was shown, it has been proven that the cause of divorce, most cause of divorce is lack of commitment, infidelity, and trust and lack of communication. Now my question is this: how can lack of commitment be cause of relationship? Now I ask, why do people get married? If you don't want to commit to someone, then you don't need to get married. If you're not ready to commit to someone, why getting married? So
Mm.
my question now is this: let's advise people now, because we've talked, haven't talked on this topic for 4 seasons. It's not easy. We've made a lot of points, we've made a lot of revelation. Now let's give people advice, let's give couple advice, let's give people who are planning to get into relationship, what advice do you have to give to people? Because this divorce thing is actually increasing, it's really alarming. We can't just keep quiet. Massive Mike, what do you have to say to people
Yes.
first, to people who want to get into relationship, into marriage, before we now talk to people who are already out? What's your
Yes. First of
advice to
all,
them?
yes, it's sweet you're bringing this up, Didi, to wrap this series up. Um, the first thing first is God created humans to interrelate. We are human beings. We are social creatures, and relationship is one of what makes us who we are. But you see, a lot of time people just bump into relationship. People just go get into it. They don't know what they want. They just boom, and at, eventually they get heartbroken. Eventually they find out that this is not what they wanted. So the first thing first is realizing who you are, understanding who you are, where you're coming from, what you want in this relationship. eh? So the awareness of oneself is number one key. Then number two key is, in a relationship, understand also that for it to work, you too need to put on some sacrifice. You need to make it work. So sacrifice is needed. You need to um, part of that sacrifice is understanding the other person, understanding that this other person is not like you. So put up with some of the things he or she does if you want that relationship to work. Then finally, let's take note that God is love. So um, if God is in the center of our relationship, it will work. You know, whatever God you're serving, I mean, God, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever it is, the main thing is we all acknowledge that there is a God, and that God is love. So once we have that awareness that there's a creature, there's a being that is that is looking at us, that is also with us in this, and you want to reverence that being, you want to respect that being, and put that in your back of your mind, then your relationship with people, your relationship with your spouse, with your friends, and whatever it may be, will really work, because you're not out there to cheat, or you are smart people. You're out there to show love. You want to relate in a human way. You want to be uh, socialize happily. You want to, all that, those things that make up love. So three things: awareness, number one, awareness of who you are. Number two, putting some work, sacrifice, and number three, putting God in the center of that relationship.
Wow, that's nice. Awareness, sacrifice, and God. Oh my
Yeah.
dear, you've just said it all. Yeah. Now, there's something you said before listing this: awareness,
Mhm.
sacrifice. You're very, very correct, because a lot of people just want to get married and things flourishes without
Ah,
knowing that those people who their marriages flourishes actually worked for it. Now,
that's it.
there's something you said.
BD, let me help you out to what you're trying to say. We see old couples, fathers, mothers, old couple been in marriage 50 years, 60, and you wonder, how did these people make it? Some people think it was just all smooth bed of roses. No, these two people that have stayed 30 years, 20, 40 years, 50 years, went through all the obstacles you could think of. But you see,
Yeah,
they didn't allow those obstacles break them off. So
exactly.
they will go through these motions and still say, "You're my wife, you're my husband, let's work it out." And
Yeah.
this has been their way until they've now come to this old age where they no
People
more
are now
feel
being admired.
admired, and they don't also see anything wrong in themselves again. In their old
Now,
age, they still see love, and
Yeah,
sincere.
there's something you said. You said the problem is you said that the problem is that a lot of people just stumble into marriage. You made a very salient point there. It's actually true because people just want to get married. They just want to answer name. They just want to fit into societal accepted standard without being ready for the thing called marriage. I think people should desist from that. It's very
Yes,
common in this part of the world.
very
People
cool.
just get into marriage before they now realize what marriage is. They're already inside it. Now,
Mm.
there's one trend that I noticed in this part of the world. If you see women in their 35, 36, 38, 40 jumping
Oh,
out of marriage, many
ah,
of them, and that
mm,
is when they will tell you, oh, I want to live my life. I have a dream to pursue. I find that these women, when they're 2018, 2021, 2023, there's this urge, there's this desperation in getting married. They'll just jump into anything that comes around their way.
that way.
And when they are now getting mature, they now realize, no, this is not what I want. They will not jump out. And honestly, me, I don't like it. See, if you want to pursue a career, why don't you start early and pursue it? Not going into to mess our marriage institution, then now drop out and say, oh, it was a mistake. No, no, no. I think we should discourage that. If you get into
Yes,
there and
you
you make
you
a
you
mistake, remain there and correct it.
you made a point. Some people married because they want people to know, the society to know that they once were Mrs. So so so. They also one
Exactly.
time went through marriage
Exactly.
ceremony. So that's all they did it for. They didn't really do it for the sake of marriage and love. But still,
Honestly.
also, let's take note too that you've always talked about men, the men's side, the men's shortcomings. I agree to an extent. In fact, last week I saw a video that made me feel so bad at what men can do. A man that shot the wife's hand because she didn't prepare food
Food
for him.
for her. And the one that even killed the wife who just
Mhm.
came back
So,
from a hospital. The
okay.
thing is very common. And
So
it's okay. Speak.
yeah, so seeing that, I know, like you said, you've always said, there are some men that are beasts too. Yes, they are, and that is because of what, like I've said, those three focal points. You see, these men are coming from. Some of them are coming from very battered background.
The background, exactly.
Yes, they are coming from homes that were like this, that like what we're saying, broken
Yeah.
homes where the father and the mother didn't care about the children.
Then
They
now,
grew up.
we are running out of time. Now, massive bag. I now in this part of the world, I now find out that the way when people separate, they no longer want to see each other. They are so angry with each other. Now,
Very
my
correct.
what advice do you have for them, just in 30 seconds, for those who are separated and who have children, or even
Yeah.
those who don't have who have not who don't have children but they are separated? What advice do you have for them? Me, I don't believe in for the fact we are not together that we are enemy. No, we can separate and still see tomorrow and say hi, hi. Do you understand? We
So
can
I
peacefully
think
separate.
that is happening more in Africa and in Nigeria where you are. But here, you know, they have white people that are separated, but they will still arrange. They will still come with their different spouse, the new
Yeah.
ones, and meet with for the because of the children. You have couples that have separated, and they will come with their different and have a group dinner or something, all to
Yeah.
in that spirit of love. So what happens in the African context is they separate with bitterness. I talked about animosity, very hard anger, and they feel this person should be dead even, you know. But
Exactly.
if you've separated and you didn't work, you still life still goes on. That the
Yeah.
world hasn't come to an end. Your life still goes on. So you still go on with whatever new relationship that has come your way and still see that person as a friend. That was a period of your life.
That's
It
yeah.
didn't work out, but that person is still a friend and still remains the mother of my children or the father of my children or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
And it goes on,
Wow.
you know.
Life goes on. Massive Mike, we have coming to the end of this show. We've said it all. Now, it has been established that why we have divorce in Africa is because our men are comfortable with the way things are going. They don't want to change. The men should actually change. They should understand that we have moved on. They should change. They should not expect things that was done for our great grandfather by our grandmothers to be done for them in this jet age. Our men should change. They should move away from the way things are being done in the olden days and get into the new world. And they should start treating women like a fellow human being, not like their slave. And Massive Max said it here. For you to have a good relationship, there is commitment. There is a commitment, there is work, and there is
Introduce.
God. You bring those three things into it. And you
Nice.
should stop separating with this bitterness in you. No, you can
Mm.
separate and life still goes on. One person can even be of help to one another tomorrow. Don't
Absolutely,
separate and
absolutely,
hate
my
people
dear.
or even wish them
That,
death.
that, that's
No.
that's a that's a good thing to say, Didi.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
very good thing to say. One person could be a help to the other person in future.
Tomorrow, yeah. So don't say,
Yes,
don't
that,
separate and wish each other death. No, it is
yes,
not a must. Well,
yes,
that's much will come today on this divorce topic. And what we're saying is this: let's put our hands together and reduce divorce in our society. The more people get divorced, the more our marriage institutions are being brought down, the more it's getting bad. And what is getting bad, our society in return is getting bad, and it's not good for our health and for our psychic. That's much we'll be taking today on Real Talk. Remember, this is Midnight Show, and here we keep it real. We talk about everything relationship, and we talk it how it is. Massive Mark all the way from Milan. I truly appreciate you, all your contribution, all your eye-opening discourse. It was really, really impactful. I truly appreciate you. See you again next week. All our viewers, we appreciate you. Remember, we need to save our marriage institutions. Our men should understand that women are human like them, and women should understand that men are human like them. Everyone needs respect and everyone needs love. If you know you're not ready for commitment, if you know you're not ready for work, don't get married. That's what we're taking today on this show. My name is Bidi Nana. See you next week. Bye.
bye bye. Thank you.